Tom Mockaitis has researched and written extensively about terrorism, insurgency, and counterinsurgencies. He's joining us via Skype from Chicago, where he's a professor of history at DePaul University. The suspect still on the run, the head of the Federal Criminal Police, warning Germany to be on high alert. Give me your thoughts on the significance of this attack and the fact that the suspect's still out there on the loose, apparently.
Well, this attack conforms to a pattern that we've been seen emerging over the last couple of years. You go all the way back to the Boston Marathon bombing in the U.S. and, in fact, even further. Crowds, venues, events are vulnerable targets. They can easily produce a mass casualty incident. You don't need a lot of training to do what he did, driving a lorry into a crowd like a battering ram. They talked about Al-Qaeda was advocating that some years ago and used Chicago as an example. Inspire magazine had a whole cover with how to attack a site like this. We saw it in Nice, France on Bastille Day this past summer, and here we have it again. It's very, very difficult to combat. And lone wolves, which I think this guy is, I think even though ISIS has claimed him, it's quite likely that he's an individual who acted on his own, and then after the fact, ISIS essentially just blessed his activities.
And Tom, as you know, there were incidents this summer. There was a hacking attack on a train, other incidents in Germany. I went back, there was an article I read some months ago. I just went back to look up the headline again. This is from April 7th. Under-equipped and overwhelmed, Germany as vulnerable as Brussels. Why is Germany in that position, do you think?
Well, Germany has got a very understandably delicate past when it comes to foreigners, when it comes to minorities, when it comes to asylum seekers. It's incredibly generous in offering asylum to people because of because of the Nazi past. There's a sense in which they feel there's something to live down. It's also a very free, open society. It's not a society in which you have a lot of guns, in which people are particularly, it's not a particularly violent society. And they've had an influx over the past year of almost 900,000 asylum seekers. And there's resentment over the economic cost of that. And of course, now the security cost is here as well. Now, let me be really clear. We don't know that it was an asylum seeker. We don't know that it could very well have been a native-born German. but everyone is already on tenterhooks over the things that have developed over the past year. This is one more example, in the fact that the ISIS centralists claimed it is disturbing.
And then Merkel looked vulnerable heading into the elections next year. How does that factor into this? One would suspect that this wave, this anti-immigrant sentiment would probably grow as a result of this, one would suspect.
There was a very good commentary today on one of the news networks talking from a paper from the Süddeutsche Zeitung, the South German paper in Munich, in which the individual mentioned that the German political system is a lot harder for a populist to take over. The right-wing party can make inroads. They may become a coalition partner. They may have the ability to have a greater voice. But on the other hand, it's not like a populist candidate can run for chancellor. They have to obviously be whoever party gets the majority, that party has the chancellorship. So it's not as easy. But it's also possible that Merkel would be shunted aside, by someone slightly to the right of her. Their own party might find her leadership problematic. She is an extremely effective leader, but this refugee crisis has really damaged her credibility.
Tom, I was looking at one German newspaper online today. They had an opinion piece, and the headline was, "Attack on Berlin is bound to change Germany," and one suspect that is accurate. How do you think it's going to change Germany?
Well, I was in Europe this past summer, actually touring World War I battlefields with several German professors and officers and some people from Austria as well. And we were sharing ideas that both our societies are deeply divided. That on the one hand, you have this deep-rooted kind of openness, this liberalism based on trying to overcome a very dark past. On the other hand, there's a bitter resentment to the cost of doing that. And we have to remember, it's very hard for Americans and for many in the world to understand, these are ethnically constructed states. They're not very good at creating pluralistic societies. Even if you're welcome to come there, a lot of the Muslim populations in Europe are ghettoized, and those ghettos are breeding grounds for Islamic radicalization, which in turn then feeds into this vicious cycle of backlash, of kind of a nativist backlash, which we're seeing all over Western Europe, not just in Germany. I've seen it in Austria, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Hungary in a very large way, all over Europe. It's a very worrying problem.
Yeah, complicated and complex. Tom Mockaitis, thanks so much for joining us from Chicago. In Zurich, police have confirmed the gunman behind a shooting inside a mosque has no links to Islamic radical groups. The suspect, a Swiss citizen, stormed in during prayers, opened fire on worshipers. 3 people were taken to the hospital. They are improving. The unidentified gunman's body was found near the mosque. He's thought to have taken his own life. He's also a suspect in the murder of another man whose body was found on a playground on Sunday. Police say the motive still a mystery.